friends, Colleen here. Today I have a flip through of an album that I made following a trip to Acadia Park, National Park in Maine. This is my very first album I ever created. If you don't know, which I don't know why you would, but my scrapbooking hobby came to life in 2020 during the pandemic. So before that, I was solely a card maker, and I call scrapbooking my quarantine hobby because it's something that I stumbled upon and dove into while I was living with my parents without a job, just pretty much crafting the days away during the pandemic. So this was kind of the first thing I created. We went to Acadia National Park in August of 2020, knowing that it was mostly an outdoor experience and that we wouldn't be near a lot of people. And yes, we did wear masks, but coming home from that trip, I was very excited to put this album together. Noting that this is my first album, you'll see throughout it that there's a lot of techniques I didn't know about yet, and a lot of my supplies is kind of just whatever I had accumulated in the excitement of like new hobby, I need to get things. I think most of us can relate to that excitement. So I like to look back and see how my hobby has grown over the past 3 years. But yeah, let's get through a flip through here. Also, I won't know the names of all the products. Any that I do know and that are available, I'll link down in the description, but I'm not going to be able to name everything. Like, I think this is Studio Calico, but honestly, it might be what was Kelly Perky and now the Paper Person Shop. So I'm not exactly sure. So bear with me on that. But here's my title page. And then I go through, this is when we first arrived at Bar Harbor, we drove up from upstate New York. I had noted, obviously it was unique time, so I took a picture of the signs saying to mask, and then just some information about where we were. Oh, I should also say I was there with my mom, my sister, and her boyfriend at the time, who's now her fiance. So it was just a small group of us on this trip. We took a selfie with the sign, so I definitely want to put that in here. And then this is the park guidebook, which honestly I haven't taken out of here since we got it, but it just has, like, you know, the maps and all the information about everything. So I definitely wanted to include that, and it's obviously the perfect size. Speaking of size, I forgot to mention this is a Life Crafted album from Citrus Twist. I believe the color is forest green. I doubt it's still available, but like I said, I'll link things down below if they are. This was the first size. When you aren't familiar with scrapbooking, or you have the idea of what scrapbooking used to be, I definitely thought all scrapbooking was 12 by 12. Seeing now, or when I had rediscovered scrapbooking and seeing all the different sizes and possibilities, specifically I was, I think Heba Alsabai from My Little Journal was one of the first scrapbookers that I really like connected with what she was creating, and she was creating in this Life Crafted size, this traveler's notebook size. So that is why I wanted to give it a try, and knowing that this was a smaller trip, it was only a long weekend, I think, that really motivated me to give this size a try, and I thought it was really fun. These are more photos with the National Park sign. I did some fussy cutting with powder paper and added my own pen details. Again, I was working with what I had, so you'll see that some things are kind of, I don't know, not up to the standard that I would want them to be today. I really like this page. It's like a photo collage, basically. I use a Canon selfie printer, because Heba uses a Canon selfie printer. So that is how I printed all these photos. Obviously, I was still getting used to editing the photos for my printer and just adjusting to all of that. I was using pick frame, and I liked the white border. Those are all not how I exactly do things today, but this looks great. I really like how it turned out. I like the layering and then adding just some little details. So we did a lot of hiking during this trip. I wanted to document every hike we did, so that's what I did on these little hike logs, which is from a stamp set that, again, I don't know the name of, but I'll have it linked. I put how many miles it was, what we saw, and then just some details about it. So I really like this consistency throughout the album. And on the back of that, I put a quote. This one says, "You're off to great places today. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." I mostly looked up different quotes from Pinterest and picked the ones that spoke to me or that were relevant to the trip. Obviously, this was the first hike of the trip, so that's very fitting. I did put in some leaves from the park, which, if you're an outdoorsy person, you probably know that you're not supposed to take things from the park, so don't report me, but I just thought it was a cool addition. So yeah. Here's another layout, very simple, just the 3 photos of the landscape. Again, I would edit these differently. They're very dark, but it is what it is, and I think you still get the point. Here's another photo collage. If I did this differently, I would make the photos a bit bigger. I don't know, I feel like it was just what I was seeing that made me think you should, I don't know, honestly. Maybe I'll go back and reprint these photos, just like double the size, because there's plenty of room, obviously, and I didn't end up embellishing much or at all on this page. I thought I kind of like the simplicity of that. This is on our hike. There was this pebble beach that we came across. I don't know if we came across it. My sister's the one who does all the navigating and the planning, so she might have intentionally taken us there, but to me, we came across it. So I have some pictures of that and then spelled out the name of the beach with some alpha stickers. This first day of hiking was like a really long day. Like, we did a lot. So this is all one hiking experience. So next we went to the Jordan Pond House, which is like the place to go if you're hiking in Acadia. Saw some views across the lake, had a selfie with my mom with my mask on. Some wildlife, these stone towers, which these are not good for the environment. They disturb ecosystems and you shouldn't do them. So this one was like off the trail, and so we couldn't get to it. And so we were actually throwing rocks in order to knock over this rock tower, which I just wrote down here because it was a story. But we kept seeing these and they were it's frustrating when you know it's bad, but people keep doing it. Anyway, then we did we continued our hike up the South Bubble, which is basically a mountain. And we were going up, man. We were scrambling. And I was exhausted, you can see. So I was making funny faces because I was just so hot and sweaty. But I stamped going up because up we go. And so this is where I journal about this 7.3 miles, which was pretty intense for me and my mom, who we don't hike often. I would say, honestly, this was kind of one of our first like major hiking experiences. And since then we've been much more interested in it. Whereas my sister and her fiance, they hike quite a bit. Here's another quote. Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you are climbing it. Obviously we were seriously climbing a mountain, so that's pretty fitting. And then this is us, not even at the summit yet, but at a great lookout point. So we got some pictures there. And you could see in this photo, that's the Jordan Pond House where we had just been. So I love seeing photos like that where you're looking back at where you were from where you are now. Wow, that was deep. Okay, this page, again, why did I print them as 2x2s? Oh, you know what it might be? In pick frame, you can do a 3-photo print. And so I would just do what pick frame was telling me to do to get 3 photos in squares, rather than technically saving photo paper, because it would take 1 sheet of photo paper to print these 3 photos. But if I had made them larger, obviously they'd be easier to see. So I might go back and reprint those, honestly. I know it's been 3 years, so that seems kind of silly, but imagine it if it was like 3x3 and you could actually see the details. Anyway, so that's us at the summit. We got signs, photos with the summit sign. And I just put some word, these are the Tim Holtz word things, word stickers. Believe in yourself, do your best, be brave, embrace the journey, be amazed, take risks, because those are all fitting to the journey to the top of this mountain. There is one part of the climb where you're literally climbing. Like if you fell or if you slipped, you would fall off the mountain and be hurt or dead, which is something I've never done before. I've never had that feeling, that adrenaline of like genuine fear. So yeah, but we got there and I'm really proud of myself, and luckily we didn't have to go back down the same way. This is from a joke. They have this thing called bubble rock, which is a rock. This is actually bubble rock. It's on basically the side of the cliff and it's just kind of hanging there, like barely attached. And so it's called bubble rock just because it's like suspended and it's huge and it's whatever. So first we saw this rock and we were like, is that it? Like it was a rock, but smaller than expected. So we're like, I guess that's it, okay. And then we like kept walking or kept climbing or whatever, and I saw the actual bubble rock, which was huge and much more precariously perched. So we were like laughing, like, is that bubble rock? And then no, this is bubble rock. So yeah, now that I explained that joke, this is our way back down the mountain, which was much easier. And it was cool, again, to look up and see how steep it was and how we were scrambling down the rocks. Along the way of the trip, I made sure to take pictures of all the signs pointing, just like pointing out where we were on the trail. So this way you could go to Bubbles Divide and that way you could go to Bubble Parking. And that also helped me with documenting, like when you look back, you can be like, where were we in this photo? And then you're like, oh yeah, the next picture is of this sign, so that must mean we're here. Here is another photo collage. Again, I really like this. This is a great way to get a lot of photos into one page. I don't think the size is a problem in these. Like, you definitely get the point. We saw a loon, which was super exciting. We crossed this cool bridge. We saw a giant spider, which was terrifying. So yeah, it was a great day. And we saw the sunset from Jordan Pond House, so woohoo. So that was the whole day one. This is day two. My mom and I took a bike ride around, just around the park. It's pretty much the only way you can get like into Acadia Park. You take the carriage road. So we rented bikes kind of spontaneously and we biked around, got a picture with our helmets, and these are the bubbles. So that was what we climbed the previous day. So again, kind of seeing where we were and where we are now. Also, I did take this photo while I was riding a bike, so I find that kind of impressive. Go me. We also did a nature cruise, which was super foggy. Not much else to say about that, except that we saw a bunch of nature. So I like wrote down what animals we saw, and my sister's dog is named Zorro, so I included him with wildlife, which I thought was kind of funny. This is a photo of a friend who lives up in Bar Harbor, who I went to college with, so we met up for dinner. I didn't reach out to her to get her permission to post her picture, so I just have a journaling card over it, but I just have a photos of us underneath and I think some word stickers. But I use this paper from a Studio Calico traveler's notebook that says, stay close to people who make you feel like sunshine. Oh, and these flowers, I stamped those using the Simon Says Stamp Beautiful Flower stamp set, which is just, that stamp set is the perfect way to add like background details that are like elegant and pretty, but not like, they don't take over the page. So this is the next day. Hopefully you've been seeing that I have been stamping the date on all the pages as the day changes. This was our walk out to Bar Island. So in Acadia, well, more like in Bar Harbor, which is the town next to the national park, or the main town of the national park. there is a sandbar that is only there during low tide, and you can walk out to Bar Island, which is only an island when it's low tide. So we walked out there one morning and it was super foggy. You couldn't even see the island in front of you. And we saw starfish and seagulls eating starfish and crabs and a whole bunch of stuff. And basically, once you get to Bar Island, you can hike to the summit. And then hopefully you'll see a beautiful view of Bar Harbor, the town. But we got up there and this is what we saw, the fog, which we stayed there for a little bit, and it was cool to see the fog kind of coming in and out. Like, it was definitely moving. And we could just barely see a glimpse of the town, but really not enough to actually have that beautiful view. So yeah, that's the story, and that's what I documented here. In all things of nature, there's something of the marvelous. I think in this case, it's really that's really referencing the fog and the beauty of its movement and everything. This was us before we left Bar Island. We kind of sat on the pebble beach. My sister likes to dig through rocks. I mean, who doesn't like to collect rocks, right? So she was just looking for cool stuff, and we walked along the water. That's me and her. Again, I kind of wish this one at least was a little bit bigger. We'll see if I go back and resize some of these. I honestly probably won't. Like, the photos are still in existence, right? So why does it matter? Anyway, this is us on Cadillac Mountain, which is maybe it's the highest point. Oh, it says right here, the highest point on the eastern seaboard. Good for me. So we actually drove up Cadillac Mountain. You can hike it, but there's no point in us doing that. So we drove up, and you can see different views, and it's just really pretty up there. A lot of people go there to watch the sunrise because it's the first point that the sun touches in America or something. So we walked around there. This is my sister's dog, Zorro. They had just adopted Zorro fairly recently before this, so he was kind of a new addition, and so I wanted to get a cute picture of him. This is a photo my mom took of me standing what looks like on the edge of the world. Obviously it's not. There was land right below that, but I just really like that photo. And then we spent some time looking for the highest point, the summit marker. And we were the only ones looking for it, and it was actually quite out of the way, but we eventually found it. So that's a photo of that. And yeah, this is another hike we did. I put a quote: of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are dirt. This was just a really pretty, I think it was called the Harbor Loop Trail. So we had to drive to this trail, and it was just beautiful. I think it was my favorite part of the trip, honestly. So I documented that. And then we went to see the Bass Harbor Lighthouse. So that's this lighthouse here. And as we were getting there was a huge storm rolling in, which you can kind of see in this picture. But basically, I journaled about how we got there, we got some pictures, and then it just started downpouring. But what was cool was because the storm was coming, we had the lookout point to ourselves. So that was a highlight for sure. And this is my sister's boyfriend, Ryan, with Zorro, because he doesn't like the rain. The dog doesn't like the rain. So Ryan is trying to cover him up. It was just a very exciting time. So I made sure to write all that down. This is a story from our trip that I didn't have a photo of, which is really a bummer. But basically, something we had been joking about the whole time, or hoping to see, was a moose. I've never seen a moose. I really want to see a moose. But we were driving back from the lighthouse, and I saw something in a grove of trees, just huge animal, huge antlers. And I was like, I think I just saw a moose. And everyone was like, what? And I'm like, I swear, I think I just saw a moose. So we made Ryan, who was driving, turn around and go back. And it was not a moose, but it was a giant deer with a beautiful rack of antlers. And I don't think I've ever seen a deer that big or with that big of a set of antlers. So that's what I wrote down here. And I used my Cricut to cut out this deer head and just put some ephemera around it. This was the next day. Rachel and Ryan split off, and me and my mom spent the rest of the trip together in Algonquin. But I think this is still in Bar Harbor. So we had some breakfast and walked along the ocean, and then went to this restaurant, which was like really fun. It had like a vintage like 50s theme. It was really unique. This is one of my favorite pages because just the addition of this woman. This is from like a journaling card from Michael's or something. And I just like, the size of the pictures obviously is better, and I just like how they're kind of like, I don't know, tipped all, I don't know, just fun layout. And I put some enamel dots, and it just fits the vibe of the location. So I'm really happy with that. Next is Algonquin. So this is a paper from a Studio Calico traveler's notebook. I added the name and the date, name of the town and the date, and then just did a grid layout of photos. So we walked along the marginal way and had breakfast, and these are photos my mom took and had dinner. So that was just that first day in Algonquin. Then we were at the beach, which is like my mom's favorite place to be. So I wanted to definitely document her. And in this photo, she's like really genuinely laughing, those are like my favorite photos of my mom. So this is a lot of card making supplies, but I really like this layout as well. I documented what we ate because we had lunch at this oceanside restaurant. I love clams, and honestly, these might have been the best clams I've ever had. So I wrote all about that. And then this is the end of our trip. I think it's the same day, but we ended the day getting ice cream at the lighthouse, which we've been to this lighthouse before. The rest of the trip, we hadn't been to Acadia before, but we had been to Algonquin before. So we ended the day with ice cream at the lighthouse. And so I just used, again, this is a paper from a Studio Calico traveler's notebook. So I just marked that it was the best day, time well spent, and wonderful. And then this is kind of just the ending. So I wanted it to like the see you soon type of thing. Really cute. And then that's the end. This envelope has photos that I printed off that I didn't end up including. So whenever I have extra photos, I put them in an envelope in the back of the album. I haven't done this yet, but I do plan in all of my albums to put an SD card with all the photos that I didn't print or wasn't planning to use. Like all the photos from this trip would go on that SD card and be housed in the album. So then if you wanted to see all of the photos, like every single one, you could put that in your computer and take a look. And so I would do the same for like my yearly albums. So all the photos I took in 2022 would be in my 2022 album. So that is my Maine album. Like I said, everything will be linked down in the description. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask down in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. I do card making, and we'll be sharing some more. I do scrapbooking process videos, and I'll also have some more flip throughs coming soon because I just finished an album from my Ireland trip. That's a more recent album, so I will be uploading that hopefully soon. But yeah, until then, please subscribe, and I'll be back with some more crafty content soon. Thanks so much.